Welcome. Tonight, we invite you into a peaceful corner of the universe. In the beginning, there was Eru Illivator, the one who existed beyond time and space. From his thought sprang forth the Aner, the holy ones, who were divine spirits created to partake in his vision. These Aner were of different orders and powers, each with unique gifts, but all were united in their purpose to bring forth creation as envisioned by Illivator. Eru Illivator gathered the Aner together and taught them to sing. He revealed to them a great theme, a cosmic melody that would reflect the unfolding of the universe. This song, known as the Ainulindale, was not just an arrangement of notes but a profound expression of Eru's will. The Aner sang together, their voices harmonizing in a symphony that resonated through the void. And as they sang, the world began to take shape. The music wove the fabric of existence, creating the foundations of the world that would come to be known as Arda. As the Aner sang, they were filled with inspiration, and they infused their own thoughts and ideas into the music. Each note carried with it the essence of their being, and the themes grew more intricate, weaving in and out of one another. However, among the Aner, there was one who sought to dominate the melody. Melkor, the mightiest of the Aner, began to insert his own discordant notes into the song, creating a cacophony that disrupted the harmony of the others. He desired to possess the greatest power and control over the creation itself, seeking to challenge Eru's authority. In his pride, Melkor envisioned a reality shaped according to his desires. He sought to have dominion over all creation, believing that he alone could perfect it. While the other Aner sang in unison, Melkor's ambitious notes twisted the melody, introducing chaos and conflict. The music of the Aner became a battle of wills, as Melkor's discord clashed with the themes of creation. Eru Illivator observed this turmoil, and rather than quelling it, he allowed the discord to unfold, for from the conflict, greater themes could emerge. Finally, Eru Illivator raised his voice above the tumult, introducing a new theme that incorporated both the harmonies of the Aner and Melkor's discord. This theme was richer and more complex than before, embodying the balance of light and darkness. It demonstrated that even the most destructive will could not ultimately thwart the divine purpose of creation. Through this, Eru proclaimed the ultimate fate of the world. It would be created, and the Aner would have a part to play in its unfolding. When the music ended, Eru Illivator revealed to the Aner the vision of Arda, the world that they had helped to shape through their song. The Aner beheld the sight of the universe, a magnificent creation filled with landscapes, seas, and the promise of life. They witnessed the beauty of the stars, the mountains, and the forests, all teeming with potential. But there were also shadows lurking within this vision, representations of the discord that Melkor had introduced into the music. Eru then invited the Aner to enter into this world and to give it form. He explained that their participation in its creation would not be as mere observers, but as caretakers and guardians of its unfolding destiny. With this invitation, many of the Aner accepted, descending into Arda to fulfill their roles. They took on physical forms and became the Vala, powerful beings who would shape the world according to the visions they had sung. Yet Melkor, still driven by his insatiable desire for power, remained unsatisfied with his role. Though he had joined the other Vala in Arda, he constantly sought to assert his dominance over them. He resented the limitations placed upon him and desired to command the very essence of creation. In his heart, he bore a deep-seated hatred toward Eru Illivator and the other Aner, believing that they conspired against him. As the Vala began their work in Arda, they established the world and brought forth light. They raised mountains and filled the seas, cultivating the land and creating the first beings, the elves, who were to awaken in the starlit land of Quivionen. The elves were imbued with the beauty of the world and the light of the stars, reflecting the harmonious melodies of the Aner's song. However, Melkor's presence was a constant threat. He roamed the world, seeking to corrupt and dominate. He sowed discord among the newly formed beings, whispering lies and spreading darkness. His cunning and malevolence became apparent as he sought to influence the elves, drawing some to his side and corrupting them. As time passed, the Vala began to realize the magnitude of Melkor's ambition. They recognized that his insatiable thirst for power would lead to strife and suffering in the world they were nurturing. The seeds of conflict had been sown, and the harmony of creation was in jeopardy. They gathered together to discuss the looming threat posed by Melkor, and it became clear that they needed to take action to contain him. In their wisdom, the Vala resolved to confront Melkor. They sought to bind him and prevent him from spreading further chaos. Thus, they descended upon the land of Arda to confront their wayward brother. In a great battle, they used their combined powers to challenge Melkor, pushing him back to his fortress of Ongband, a dark and terrible stronghold in the northern mountains. There, they placed him under a deep and unbreakable restraint, hoping to quell his influence. Yet, even in chains, Melkor's malice did not subside. He continued to plot and scheme, his heart burning with hatred toward the Vala and all that was good and beautiful in Arda. He remained a constant threat, an ever-watchful shadow that would later lead to tumultuous events in the ages to come. In this unfolding tale, Morgoth, once known as Melkor, was not merely a dark lord but a figure of profound complexity. He was the embodiment of pride and ambition, a tragic figure whose desire for power would ultimately lead to his own undoing. The threads of his story were woven into the very fabric of Arda, forever shaping the destinies of elves, men, and all the inhabitants of Middle-earth. The echoes of the Ainulindale, both its harmony and discord, would resonate throughout the ages, guiding the course of history in the struggle between light and darkness. As the Ainur gathered in the timeless void before the shaping of the world, Eru Illivator, the One, prepared to reveal to them the grand design of creation. He took a deep breath, and with it, the universe began to resonate with his thoughts. This moment marked the inception of the Ainulindale, the music of the Ainur, a divine symphony that would give life to the cosmos. Eru guided the Ainur in their song, and they sang in harmony, creating a great and majestic melody. The music was not merely a collection of sounds. It was the very essence of creation, rich with meaning and purpose. As each Ainu contributed their voice, the themes of the song unfolded, interweaving their thoughts and visions into a tapestry of sound. The harmony of their voices created a beautiful panorama of light and color that swirled in the emptiness. And in this celestial symphony, they began to perceive the vision of Arda. As the song progressed, the Ainur were enraptured by the beauty of their creation. Each note they sang shaped the landscapes, the seas, and the very fabric of reality. Their voices filled the void with joy and wonder, and the light they created grew ever brighter. The themes reflected the balance of existence, the cycles of life and death, light and darkness, joy and sorrow. It was a creation of profound depth, foreshadowing all that would come to be. Yet, among them, Melkor, the mightiest of the Ainur, harbored ambition and pride. He yearned for power beyond that which was given to him and sought to impose his will upon the song. As he listened to the harmony of the Ainur, he became increasingly discontented with his place in the music. He began to introduce his own discordant notes, creating a tumult that clashed with the grand design laid forth by Eru. Melkor's notes were fierce and chaotic, reflecting his desire for control and dominance. As Melkor's discord pierced the fabric of the harmonious melody, the other Ainur felt the impact of his ambition. They struggled to maintain the beauty of their creation as his discordant sounds attempted to overshadow the themes of harmony. The tension between Melkor and the other Ainur grew, as the music became a battleground of wills. Their combined song, which once resonated with light and joy, was now marred by strife and conflict. The Aenir, though troubled by Melkor's interference, continued to sing. Eru Ilúvatar, observing the discord unfold, allowed it to persist. He understood that from this conflict, greater themes could emerge, and the essence of creation would be enriched by the contrast of light and darkness. As Melkor pushed harder against the harmony, the Aenir struggled to counterbalance his disruptive influence, weaving their voices together in an effort to overcome the chaos he had unleashed. In response to Melkor's rebellion, the other Aenir began to alter their own contributions to the music. They sought to create counterpoints that would harmonize with Melkor's discord, striving to incorporate the chaos into a greater whole. This new harmony reflected the complexity of existence itself, revealing the interplay between creation and destruction, order and chaos. Amid the struggle, Eru Ilúvatar rose above the discord and infused the music with a new theme. He crafted a melody that encompassed both the harmony of the Aenir and the tumult created by Melkor. This profound addition to the song was rich with meaning, embracing both the light and the shadows, showing that every note, be it sweet or bitter, held a purpose within the grand design. The Aenir were awestruck by this new theme, recognizing the wisdom of Eru. The dissonance had not only shaped their understanding of creation, but also added layers to the music that they could not have perceived before. The cosmic symphony grew ever more intricate, reflecting the depth of the universe and the multifaceted nature of existence. Eventually, the song culminated in a magnificent crescendo, and the Aenir beheld a vision of the world they had helped to create. They saw the lands of Arda taking form, filled with towering mountains, deep oceans, and verdant forests. They envisioned creatures that would inhabit this world, both beautiful and terrible. They glimpsed the potential for joy and sorrow, for triumph and despair, woven into the very fabric of reality. When the music finally came to a close, the Aenir stood in silent awe of what they had wrought. Eru Ilúvatar, satisfied with their efforts, revealed the true nature of their creation. A world where free will would play a crucial role. It would be a place of growth and discovery, where beings could learn from both the light and the darkness. As Eru prepared to invite the Aenir to enter this new world, he reminded them that while they had contributed to its creation, there would be challenges to face. Melkor's ambition was not extinguished. It had merely been tempered by the song. He would remain a formidable presence in Arda, forever seeking to assert his will and disrupt the harmony established by the Vala and the other Aenir. With this understanding, Eru Ilúvatar invited the Aenir to step into the realm they had sung into existence. Many were eager to do so, thrilled by the prospect of shaping the world and nurturing its inhabitants. However, the shadow of Melkor loomed large, a reminder of the discord that had woven itself into the very essence of creation. The Aenir could not foresee the trials and tribulations that awaited them in the ages to come, but they stepped forward, ready to fulfill their roles as guardians and creators in the world of Arda. Thus began the great journey of the Aenir into the newly formed world, a journey marked by both light and darkness, where their struggle against Melkor's ambition would shape the destinies of all beings within Arda. The echoes of the music of the Aenir would reverberate through time, leaving an indelible mark on the history of Middle-earth and the unfolding saga of its inhabitants. As the Aenir descended into the newly formed world of Arda, they beheld the vast expanse of creation before them, shimmering with potential and promise. The great vision of Eru Ilúvatar unfolded like a magnificent tapestry, revealing a realm ripe for shaping. This world was not yet fully realized. It remained a canvas upon which the Aenir could paint their intentions, their artistry, and their designs. Eru Ilúvatar had shown the Aenir the themes of their song, and now they could see how their voices had contributed to the essence of Arda. It was a land filled with mountains and valleys, rivers and seas, a world where light and darkness would coexist. The Aenir, now manifested as the Vala, gathered together in a great council to discuss their plans for shaping this world, recognizing their responsibility to cultivate and protect the lands they had created. The Vala surveyed the landscape, observing the raw materials of creation that lay before them. In their discussions, they divided the realms of Arda among themselves, each assuming stewardship over different aspects of the world. Manwë, the king of the Vala, took dominion over the air and the skies. He commanded the winds and the clouds, ensuring that the weather would bring life to the land. Varda, his queen, was the lady of the stars and the light, and she would weave the starlit canopy above the world, crafting constellations to guide the children of the earth. All, the smith, took upon himself the role of the earthmaker. He reveled in the shaping of the mountains, the crafting of the stones, and the forming of the very bones of the world. He dug deep into the earth to bring forth minerals and metals, ensuring that Arda would be rich in resources for those who would come. Yavanna, the giver of fruits, was entrusted with the care of all living things. She would cultivate the plants and trees, nurturing the flora that would blanket the world, and ensuring that it would be vibrant and teeming with life. As the Vala divided the responsibilities of the world, Melkor watched from the shadows, filled with envy and desire. Although he had initially been among the most revered of the Aenir, his ambition had driven him to seek dominion over all. He resented the others for their roles and for the beauty they were creating. Melkor longed to claim the power of the land for himself, to exert control over everything that breathed and flourished within it. The Vala set to work, shaping Arda with great enthusiasm. They sculpted mountains to reach high into the sky, creating the majestic peaks of the Pelori Range. They carved valleys where rivers could flow and where lush forests could grow. They filled the seas with life, crafting beaches and islands that would become havens for myriad creatures. Each act of creation was a reflection of their song, echoing the themes of light, harmony, and the intricate balance of life. As the Vala labored, they were not alone. They called forth the Mayor, lesser spirits who served the Vala, to assist in their tasks. The Mayor were nimble and swift, capable of great deeds in their own right. They helped the Vala shape the world, moving through the landscape like gentle breezes, coaxing life from the soil and encouraging the growth of the vibrant flora that would cover Arda. Yavanna, in particular, poured her essence into the land, nurturing the growth of trees and plants, ensuring that the world would be filled with an abundance of life. The first flowers bloomed, and forests began to flourish. With each passing day, the landscape transformed, becoming a living testament to the creativity and passion of the Aenir. As the Vala shaped Arda, they created two great lamps to illuminate the world, the lamps of Iluin and Ormel. These colossal structures were placed at opposite ends of the world, one in the north and the other in the south. Iluin, the lamp of the north, cast a gentle blue light, while Ormel, the lamp of the south, shone with a golden radiance. The light from these lamps spread across the land, nurturing the newly formed flora and bringing forth life. Under their glow, the first creatures began to awaken, small beings of light and shadow, creatures of the earth, water, and air. However, the illumination from the lamps was not without its consequences. The brilliance of the light made the world radiant, but the darkness that lingered in between the lamps also grew. Melkor, filled with jealousy and anger at the creation flourishing before him, sought to extinguish the light and assert his influence over the world. He devised a plan to sabotage the Vala's efforts, intending to plunge Arda into chaos and darkness. In a swift and terrible act, Melkor destroyed the two lamps. With a mighty roar, he unleashed his power, causing them to shatter and fall into ruin. The explosion of light extinguished the lamp's glow, plunging the world into darkness. The cataclysm that followed was catastrophic, altering the landscape forever. The great waters that once bathed the land now surged forth, creating deep chasms and new seas. The earth quaked, and mountains crumbled. The once vibrant world was left scarred and battered. In the aftermath of Melkor's destruction, the Vala were devastated. They gathered in sorrow, mourning the loss of their creation and the beauty that had been wrought. They understood that they must not let Melkor's actions go unpunished. Thus, they resolved to confront him and seek justice for the devastation he had wrought. The Vala retreated to the western shores of the world and devised a new plan for creation. They gathered their strength and their courage, preparing to create a new source of light for the world. They summoned the remaining light from the shattered lamps and infused it into the creation of the two great trees of Valinor, Telperion, the silver tree, and Laurelin, the golden tree. Telperion bloomed with silver blossoms, while Laurelin bore golden fruit. Together, they radiated light, filling Valinor with brilliance. The light of the trees brought warmth and hope back to the world, illuminating the hearts of the Vala and all who dwelled within their realm. They celebrated their victory over despair, but they knew that the threat of Melkor still loomed, an ever-present shadow on the horizon. Thus, the shaping of Arda continued, with the Vala learning from the past and forging a new path forward. They resolved to safeguard their creation, to ensure that the light of their vision would prevail against the encroaching darkness. In their hearts, they held hope for the children of Iluvatar yet to come, believing that one day they would rise to inhabit the world they had fought so hard to protect. As the Vala set about their work once more, they began to craft the lands and prepare for the coming of the elves and men, nurturing a world filled with possibilities and dreams. The echoes of their song resounded in the depths of Arda, a reminder of their enduring purpose and the beauty they sought to restore, even amidst the shadows that threatened their creation. The stage was being set for the unfolding saga of Arda, where light and darkness would forever intertwine in an eternal struggle. In the realm of Valinor, where the light of the two trees illuminated the land, harmony reigned among the Vala and the firstborn elves, the Eldar. The beauty of the trees, Telperion and Laurelin, breathed life into the land, and the Eldar thrived under their gentle light, finding inspiration in the beauty surrounding them. Among these Eldar were the Noldor, a proud and noble people, led by Finwë, their king. Among the Noldor was Fëanor, the mightiest of their kind, renowned for his unparalleled skill in craftsmanship and artistry. Fëanor was driven by a fierce spirit and a burning desire for knowledge and creation. He possessed an extraordinary gift, able to shape and mold materials into forms of breathtaking beauty. His greatest achievement was the forging of the Silmarils, three radiant jewels that captured the light of the two trees, imprisoning their brilliance within their crystalline forms. The Silmarils shimmered with the essence of the trees, holding the light of creation itself, and they became the pride and joy of Fëanor and the Noldor. However, the existence of the Silmarils also attracted the dark attention of Melkor, the once mighty Ainu, who now reveled in his title as Morgoth. After the destruction of the two lamps and the subsequent creation of the trees, Melkor had retreated to the shadows, nursing his resentment and plotting his revenge. He grew envious of the beauty and light of Valinor, particularly drawn to the Silmarils, which he believed would grant him ultimate power and dominance over all creation. Morgoth began to weave his webs of deceit, whispering lies and sowing discord among the Eldar. He feigned a desire for peace, presenting himself as one who had repented of his past transgressions, but deep within, his heart was filled with malice. He sought to divide the Noldor from the other elves, igniting jealousy and ambition in their hearts. He fueled Fëanor's pride, emphasizing the uniqueness of the Silmarils and encouraging him to protect them fiercely from anyone who might covet them. Fëanor, proud and fiercely protective of his creations, became consumed with his desire to safeguard the Silmarils. He grew suspicious of the motives of others, including his half-brothers, who were envious of his achievements. The atmosphere in Valinor began to change. The harmony that once flourished was now tainted by jealousy and distrust. Morgoth, watching from the shadows, saw his plans take root. He realized that the Noldor were ripe for manipulation, and he seized the opportunity to further his ambitions. One fateful night, under the cloak of darkness, Morgoth infiltrated the heart of Valinor. He took the form of a great serpent, slithering into the presence of the trees, where the light was most radiant. Morgoth unleashed a terrible darkness upon Valinor, extinguishing the light of the two trees. The world plunged into shadow, and the Eldar were thrown into chaos, blinded by the sudden loss of the luminous glow that had surrounded them. In this darkness, Morgoth approached the Silmarils, and with cunning and treachery, he stole them from Fëanor's fortress, Form Enos. The loss of the Silmarils was a catastrophic blow to Fëanor and the Noldor. The jewels, which contained the very essence of the trees, had been their pride, and their theft sent shockwaves through the community. The Vala, sensing the darkness that had invaded Valinor, gathered in council, determined to confront Morgoth and reclaim the stolen Silmarils. Fëanor, consumed with rage and sorrow, accused the Vala of weakness for allowing such a tragedy to occur. He believed that it was their responsibility to protect the Silmarils and blamed them for failing to safeguard his creations. In his fury, he vowed to pursue Morgoth and reclaim what was rightfully his, rallying his kin to join him in this quest. As the darkness deepened, the Vala mobilized their forces, ready to confront Morgoth. They unleashed their might, and the air crackled with power as they sought to bring light back to Valinor and vanquish the shadow that threatened their creation. In this moment of crisis, the unity of the Vala and the Eldar was put to the test. The Vala's great power met Morgoth's cunning, and a clash of wills began to unfold. Yet Morgoth, emboldened by the success of his theft, had already made plans to depart Valinor and return to the lands of Middle-earth. He sought to wield the power of the Silmarils, knowing that their light would grant him dominion over all, allowing him to spread his darkness even further. He had realized that Valinor could not be his kingdom, and so he would take the Silmarils to corrupt the world beyond, bringing despair to all he touched. As Morgoth prepared to leave, he was confronted by the Vala, who demanded the return of the Silmarils. In a fierce battle, Morgoth unleashed his dark powers, summoning creatures of shadow and flame to fight for him. The Vala responded with their own might, and the clash of powers echoed through the land. In the chaos, Morgoth fled Valinor, disappearing into the shadows, leaving the Eldar in turmoil. With his flight, the darkness enveloped the land more fully. The two trees, once the source of light, were now dying, their radiance dimmed. The Eldar mourned their loss, knowing that the Silmarils, which contained the light of the trees, were now lost to them, a source of power in the hands of the Dark One. Fëanor, realizing the extent of Morgoth's betrayal, took upon himself a great burden. He and his sons swore an oath to pursue Morgoth, to reclaim the Silmarils at any cost. This oath would bind them to a path of vengeance and ambition, setting into motion a chain of events that would lead to strife and tragedy for the Noldor and all of Arda. Thus, the darkening of Valinor marked a pivotal moment in the history of the world. The harmony that once characterized Valinor was shattered, replaced by bitterness and conflict. The theft of the Silmarils signified the rise of Morgoth as a formidable force, whose malevolence would echo through the ages. The stage was set for a saga of loss, ambition, and conflict as the Eldar were propelled into a darkened fate, one that would lead them far from the light of their beloved Valinor. The consequences of this moment would shape the destinies of the Noldor and all of Middle-earth, casting long shadows over the unfolding tale of Arda. As Morgoth fled Valinor with the stolen Silmarils, he ventured into the darkened realms of Middle-earth, leaving behind the radiant beauty of the Undying Lands. There, he sought to establish his dominion over the world, spreading his influence and instilling fear in the hearts of all who dwelled within its borders. The First Age began, marked by the rise of Morgoth as a power that would shape the fate of Arda and its inhabitants. In Middle-earth, Morgoth took residence in the fortress of Angband, a dark and forbidding stronghold located beneath the Iron Mountains. From this seat of power, he plotted and schemed, using the Silmarils to corrupt the land and subjugate its peoples. He summoned forth legions of darkness, including orcs, trolls, and other monstrous creatures, creating a vast army to enforce his will and to conquer any who stood against him. As the Dark Lord's influence spread, he turned his attention to the elves of Middle-earth. These elves were divided into several clans, the most prominent being the Noldor, the Sindar, and the Vanir. The Noldor, having followed Fëanor and sworn their oath to reclaim the Silmarils, were particularly driven by their ambition and desire for vengeance. They began to settle in Middle-earth, establishing realms in Beleriand, an expansive region that would become the battleground for their struggles against Morgoth. The arrival of the Noldor marked a significant shift in the balance of power in Middle-earth. They built great cities, such as Gondolin and Nargothrond, and flourished under the light of their own craftsmanship and artistry. However, their presence also drew the attention of Morgoth, who saw the Noldor as a direct threat to his ambitions. As Morgoth prepared to strike against the Noldor, he sought to fortify his own forces. He bred orcs in the depths of Angband, twisted versions of elves and men, corrupted by his malice. These creatures became the backbone of his armies, and he used them to launch raids against the elves and other free peoples of Middle-earth. In time, Morgoth's forces would number in the thousands, and the land would tremble under their might. Morgoth's greatest triumph came with the emergence of the dragon, a creature born of his sorcery and the darkest parts of his will. Among them was Glorung, the first of the dragons, who would become an emblem of Morgoth's power. Glorung was a great worm, imbued with intelligence and malice, able to command lesser creatures and instill terror in the hearts of his foes. He would serve as Morgoth's general, leading assaults against the Noldor and their allies, sowing discord and chaos in his wake. The Noldor, driven by their oath, sought to rally against the dark tide that threatened to overwhelm their newfound homes. They formed alliances with the Sindar, the elves who inhabited the forests of Doriath, led by the noble Thingol. Although initially hesitant, Thingol recognized the threat posed by Morgoth and the urgency of the Noldor's cause. He welcomed them into Doriath, where the combined might of the Noldor and the Sindar could stand against the forces of darkness. Despite their alliances, the Noldor faced great challenges. Morgoth's cunning was matched only by his cruelty. He sent spies and agents among the elves to sow distrust and division. One of his most insidious servants was the creature known as Morgoth's Mouth, who whispered poison into the ears of the elves, further inflaming the tensions between the factions. These machinations resulted in battles and skirmishes that tore at the fabric of the unity that had been formed. The plight of the Noldor reached a critical moment when Morgoth unleashed a full-scale assault on Beleriand. With Glorung leading the charge, his forces swept down from Angband, overwhelming the elven cities and leaving devastation in their wake. The first great battle of the First Age, known as the Dager Nu in Gileath, erupted as the forces of Morgoth clashed with the united armies of the Noldor and Sindar. The battle was fierce and relentless, with the light of the Silmarils illuminating the battlefield as the Noldor fought valiantly against the dark tide. Yet, despite their bravery, Morgoth's numbers were overwhelming. The forces of darkness surged forth, threatening to consume all that stood in their path. In the midst of the chaos, Glorung struck down many valiant warriors, leaving a path of destruction as he sought to reclaim his master's influence over the land. The Vala, sensing the turmoil in Middle-earth, deliberated on their response to the rise of Morgoth. They watched the devastation wrought by his forces and the suffering of the elves, but the memory of their earlier conflict with Morgoth still weighed heavily upon them. They were hesitant to intervene directly, fearing that their involvement could lead to further catastrophe. Instead, they chose to send emissaries to guide the elves and bolster their resolve, encouraging them to unite against the darkness. As the First Age progressed, Morgoth's power only grew. He sought to corrupt the children of Iluvatar, elves and men alike, turning them into twisted versions of themselves. His influence spread like a dark cloud, and many fell prey to his promises of power and domination. Among them were the Edain, the race of men who had come into contact with the elves. Morgoth recognized the potential of men as a means to further his plans, seeing in them a strength that could be exploited. In this growing darkness, the story of the First Age would become one of courage, ambition, and tragedy. Morgoth's ambition and cunning set the stage for a conflict that would last millennia. The elves of Beleriand, with their pride and valor, found themselves at the forefront of a battle against an ancient evil. The Silmarils, bright and radiant, were central to the struggle, drawing warriors and rulers into the conflict, binding their fates together in an epic saga of light against darkness. The consequences of Morgoth's rise would ripple throughout the ages, leading to alliances forged in desperation, betrayals born of ambition, and acts of heroism that would echo through time. The First Age was only beginning, but its foundation was laid in the fires of conflict, and the shadow of Morgoth loomed ever larger over the world of Middle-earth, heralding an age of strife that would test the resolve of all who dwelled therein. As the shadow of Morgoth stretched over Beleriand, the elves and their allies found themselves embroiled in a series of cataclysmic conflicts, known as the Wars of Beleriand. These wars spanned decades and were marked by both heroic deeds and tragic betrayals, setting the stage for a struggle that would define the fate of Middle-earth. The first of these conflicts was the Daejer Nuin Gileath, or the Battle Under the Stars. Following Morgoth's initial assaults, the Noldor and their allies mustered their forces in an attempt to confront the darkness. Fëanor, the greatest of the Noldor, took it upon himself to rally the elves to fight against Morgoth, vowing to reclaim the Silmarils. Under the light of the stolen jewels, the Noldor felt emboldened, even as the forces of Morgoth, led by Glorung and other fearsome creatures, moved to crush their spirit. The battle erupted near the borders of Doriath, where the Noldor had forged an alliance with Thingol and the Sindar. The armies of Morgoth clashed with the elven host in a fierce and brutal engagement. The Noldor, driven by vengeance and pride, fought valiantly, but the sheer number of Morgoth's forces threatened to overwhelm them. In the midst of the chaos, Fëanor led a charge against Glorung, seeking to strike down the dragon that had become a symbol of Morgoth's power. However, Glorung proved to be a formidable adversary, and the battle raged on with little respite. Despite their valor, the Noldor faced staggering losses, and the cries of the wounded filled the air. The darkness seemed to press in around them, and it became increasingly clear that Morgoth's armies were relentless. As the Daejer Nuin Gileath drew to a close, the Noldor were forced to retreat. Though they had not been completely defeated, the battle left deep scars on both sides. Morgoth's power remained unchecked, and the Noldor's ambition to reclaim the Silmarils began to fester into a consuming obsession. The loss fueled further conflict, driving them to seek vengeance at any cost. In the wake of this battle, the situation in Beleriand grew dire. Morgoth's forces continued to terrorize the surrounding lands, raiding and pillaging as they sought to expand their dominion. The unity among the elves began to falter as suspicions and rivalries took root. The Noldor, particularly Fëanor and his sons, became increasingly isolated in their quest for the Silmarils, while other elves grew wary of their ambitions. The next significant conflict was the Daejer Aglareb, known as the Glorious Battle. The Noldor, desperate to reclaim their honor and assert their power, sought to muster a coalition against Morgoth. This battle was marked by a newfound determination among the elves, fueled by their desire to protect their lands and reclaim what had been stolen. Led by Fingolfin, the brother of Fëanor, the forces of the Noldor faced Morgoth's armies again. Fingolfin, a noble and brave warrior, rallied the elves and called upon the strength of their alliances. The armies of the Noldor and their allies surged forward, facing Morgoth's dark legions in a clash that would become legendary. The Daejer Aglareb proved to be a hard-fought battle. Fingolfin fought valiantly, wielding his sword, Gurthang, with great skill. He faced off against Morgoth's minions and struck down many foes, rallying the spirits of his people. The elves fought with all their might, but Morgoth's treachery proved insidious. He unleashed powerful sorceries, calling forth creatures from the depths of darkness to turn the tide of battle in his favor. Yet, amid the chaos, Fingolfin managed to draw Morgoth himself into the fray. In a moment of bold defiance, he challenged the Dark Lord to combat. The clash between the two was fierce, with Fingolfin proving to be a formidable adversary, striking blows that shook the very ground beneath them. For a brief moment, it seemed as though hope might prevail. However, Morgoth was not easily vanquished. With a burst of dark power, he struck Fingolfin down, the mighty elf falling before the overwhelming might of the Dark Lord. This loss sent shockwaves through the ranks of the Noldor and their allies, deepening their despair. Yet, Fingolfin's bravery ignited a flame within his kin, inspiring them to continue their struggle against Morgoth's forces. The years passed, and the wars raged on, bringing both triumphs and tragedies to the elves. One notable event was the emergence of the hero Beren, a mortal man who fell in love with Luthien, the daughter of Thingol. Their love story unfolded amidst the chaos, becoming a beacon of hope in a dark time. Together, they sought to retrieve one of the Silmarils from Morgoth's crown, a quest that would challenge both mortals and elves alike. Beren's quest led him to the depths of Angband, where he faced insurmountable odds. With Luthien's aid, he infiltrated the Dark Fortress, encountering terrifying creatures and evading Morgoth's wrath. The couple's courage and love shone like a beacon in the darkness, illuminating the path to the Silmaril. However, the price of their endeavor was steep, and their tale would become one of sacrifice and sorrow. Meanwhile, the Noldor continued their struggle against Morgoth, forming alliances with the Edain, the race of men who had settled in Beleriand. These men had come to admire the elves and sought to aid them in their fight against the darkness. They fought alongside the Noldor, hoping to reclaim their lands from the shadow that threatened to consume them. The final and most devastating conflict of the Wars of Beleriand was the Daejer Bragollach, the Battle of Sudden Flame. Morgoth unleashed a catastrophic assault on the elves, unleashing fire and fury upon Beleriand. He summoned dragons, including the fearsome Glorung and the newly awoken Encalagon the Black, whose wings darkened the skies. The battle erupted with ferocity. Morgoth's armies swept across the land, incinerating all in their path. The Noldor and their allies fought valiantly, but the sudden onslaught of Morgoth's power overwhelmed them. The landscape was transformed into a hellish battleground, the cries of the fallen echoing through the smoke and flames. Despite their courage, the Noldor were forced to retreat once more. Morgoth's victory in the Dajir Bragollach marked a turning point in the wars of Beleriand, plunging the realm deeper into despair. The Dark Lord's might seemed insurmountable, and his power grew as he continued to gather strength within Angband. Yet, even in the darkest times, there remained flickers of hope. The resilient spirit of the elves endured. Though the wars brought immense suffering and loss, they also forged bonds between elves and men, sowing the seeds of friendship that would echo through the ages. Legends were born of bravery and sacrifice, and heroes emerged, determined to stand against the overwhelming tide of darkness. As the wars continued, the lines between light and shadow began to blur, and the conflicts of Beleriand would resonate through the ages. The struggle against Morgoth was not merely a battle for land. It was a struggle for the very soul of Middle-earth. The stage was set for a culmination of events that would ultimately lead to Morgoth's downfall. But the journey to that moment would be fraught with hardship, betrayal, and sacrifice, shaping the destinies of all who dwelled in the realm. The fires of war burned brightly, and the fate of Beleriand hung in the balance as the First Age pressed on, caught in the relentless grip of Morgoth's dark ambitions. In the aftermath of the Wars of Beleriand, the Noldor faced a tumultuous period marked by grief, loss, and an insatiable hunger for power. Fëanor, the most gifted of the Noldor, became a focal point of this turmoil. The brilliance of his creations, especially the Silmarils, had kindled a fire within him, a desire that grew to encompass not just his kin but the very fate of Middle-earth. The events that would follow would alter the course of history, igniting a chain of betrayals that echoed through the ages. In the hidden realm of Valinor, the light of the two trees shone brightly, yet Fëanor's heart was darkened by envy and pride. The Silmarils, crafted from the light of the two trees, were not merely jewels to him. They were symbols of his unparalleled skill and legacy. Fëanor believed that his creations were beyond compare, and he felt a deep sense of ownership over them, despite the potential for jealousy they stirred in the hearts of others. When Morgoth stole the Silmarils and fled to Middle-earth, the ramifications were profound. Fëanor was consumed by rage, vowing to retrieve what was rightfully his and to punish the Dark Lord for his treachery. Fëanor's anger soon turned into a fervent desire for vengeance, and he called upon the Noldor to rise against Morgoth. The flames of his passion ignited the hearts of many, and the Noldor rallied to his side, united in their common purpose. But in this fervor, Fëanor's vision became increasingly narrow. He sought to lead his kin to war, but he did so with a single-mindedness that would soon sow discord among them. The tension among the Noldor escalated when Fingolfin, the brother of Fëanor, proposed a more cautious approach. Fingolfin urged unity and counsel, believing that a coordinated effort with the Vala might yield a better outcome than a reckless march into war. Yet Fëanor, brimming with hubris, dismissed Fingolfin's concerns, insisting that the Noldor would achieve glory through direct action. The seeds of dissent had been sown, and the divide between the two brothers deepened. In a desperate move to solidify his authority and to ensure the loyalty of his followers, Fëanor called a gathering at Formenos, his stronghold. Here, he gathered the Noldor and sought to invoke an oath that would bind them together in a relentless pursuit of the Silmarils. The oath, however, was forged in an atmosphere thick with emotion, filled with thoughts of revenge against Morgoth. The words were chosen with care, designed to incite passion and allegiance. Fëanor's voice resonated with a fierce intensity, compelling his kin to swear an oath to reclaim the Silmarils and to pursue any who would stand in their way, even if it meant turning against their own brethren. As the Noldor raised their hands in solemn affirmation, they unwittingly bound themselves to a path that would lead to untold strife. They pledged to aid one another against any who would oppose them, swearing to reclaim the Silmarils from Morgoth at any cost. This oath became a point of no return, a dark promise that would haunt them for generations. The consequences of Fëanor's oath rippled through the ranks of the Noldor. In the days that followed, his ambition began to twist their sense of brotherhood. When the Noldor prepared to depart Valinor, it was not long before discord arose. The journey to Middle-earth was fraught with difficulties, and the desire for revenge began to eclipse the bonds of kinship. Fëanor, driven by his obsession, became increasingly wary of anyone who might question his authority. Tensions reached a breaking point when the Noldor learned that the Vala, upon realizing the treachery of Morgoth, were preparing to intervene. In the shadows of their encampment, whispers of dissent began to circulate. Fëanor viewed this intervention as an obstacle to his vengeance. Fearing that his followers might waver in their commitment, he urged them to leave Valinor behind, to forsake their homeland in pursuit of vengeance. With fierce determination, he convinced them that to remain would be a sign of weakness. In the dead of night, Fëanor and his sons led a rebellion, seizing ships meant for the entire host of the Noldor. This betrayal was a grievous act, as they effectively abandoned their kin to pursue their singular quest. As Fëanor and his sons sailed across the sea, they left behind many of their brethren, including Fingolfin and his followers. This schism marked a turning point in the history of the Noldor. Fingolfin and his followers, although left behind, refused to relent. They set out across the icy seas, braving treacherous waters to reach Middle-earth. Their journey was perilous, and the bond between the brothers became increasingly strained. While Fingolfin sought to bring unity and healing, Fëanor's actions created a rift that would only widen with time. Upon their arrival in Middle-earth, the Noldor discovered a land scarred by Morgoth's dark influence. As they took their first steps upon the shores of Beleriand, they were greeted by a landscape filled with both promise and peril. The remnants of the ancient world lay before them, a tapestry of beauty marred by the shadows of the past. Fëanor, ever single-minded, led his followers to the fortress of Angband, where he believed Morgoth resided. The air was thick with anticipation and resentment, for their brother Fingolfin and his host were yet to arrive. In his quest for the Silmarils, Fëanor began to consolidate power among his followers, urging them to remain resolute in their oath. However, the lack of unity among the Noldor began to sow distrust. The arrival of Fingolfin and his followers marked a turning point in their struggle. The split within the Noldor grew palpable. Fingolfin, with his vision of collaboration and alliance, sought to bring the disparate factions together against their common foe. However, Fëanor's followers remained resolute in their loyalty to him, and their oath clouded their judgment. Fëanor's charisma and the potency of their oath continued to exert a powerful influence. As the tensions escalated, an event occurred that would seal the fate of the Noldor. Fëanor and Fingolfin met to discuss their differing strategies. It was during this meeting that Fëanor's arrogance and pride became undeniable. He refused to share the power of leadership, insisting that he alone would lead the charge against Morgoth. Fingolfin, yearning for unity, challenged Fëanor's authority, invoking the need for cooperation among the Noldor. The confrontation turned heated, words filled with animosity exchanged between the brothers. Fëanor's wrath ignited, and in a fit of rage, he called upon the oath sworn by his followers, reminding them of their commitment to seek the Silmarils and vanquish all who opposed them. This marked a pivotal moment in the Noldor's history, as the very oath that was meant to unify them instead became a source of division. Tensions culminated in a fateful decision. Fëanor, unwilling to compromise, led his followers into battle against Morgoth's forces without the support of Fingolfin's host. The Noldor, bound by their oath, became unwitting pawns in a deadly game of ambition and pride. The first major conflict against Morgoth's minions was marked by fierce fighting and loss, but it was also a reflection of the deepening rift among the Noldor. The path of betrayal, begun with the Oath of Fëanor, would lead to profound tragedy. As the Noldor fought against Morgoth, they found themselves increasingly consumed by their desire for vengeance. The shadow of their broken bonds hung heavily over them, and the echoes of their past decisions would haunt the Noldor through the ages. The story of Morgoth's rise was intertwined with the legacy of Fëanor and his oath, a tale of ambition, betrayal, and a relentless quest for power that would alter the course of Middle-earth forever. The dark threads of fate were woven tightly together, as the Noldor stood on the brink of a war that would define not just their future, but the very essence of the world they had come to inhabit. The struggles ahead would be marked by heroism and tragedy, but all were bound together by the irrevocable choice to pursue vengeance and reclaim what had been lost. The Siege of Angband marked the climactic culmination of the long and bitter conflict between the Noldor and Morgoth, a dark power that had long held sway over Middle-earth. The landscape of Beleriand, once vibrant with life and hope, had become a battleground steeped in sorrow and loss. The armies of the Noldor, united under the banner of vengeance and courage, prepared for a final confrontation with the Dark Lord who had wrought devastation upon their kind. As the Noldor rallied their forces, the leadership of Fingolfin became a crucial turning point. The earlier divisions within their ranks slowly began to mend as warriors set aside past grievances to unite against a common enemy. Fingolfin, with his strong sense of duty and wisdom, urged his kin to be vigilant and resolute, for the time for action had come. He led the charge to fortify their encampments, reinforcing their defenses while gathering allies among the other free peoples of Beleriand, including the Sindar elves and men who had suffered under Morgoth's tyranny. Fëanor's sons, fueled by their father's ambition and desire for vengeance, were eager to take the fight to Angband, Morgoth's impregnable fortress. They were not alone in their ambitions. Many of the Noldor sought to bring an end to Morgoth's reign of terror, and the tales of their past victories kindled a fierce determination within them. The rallying cry to besiege Angband echoed throughout the encampments, and plans were laid to strike at the heart of darkness. The siege began with a series of skirmishes at the borders of Morgoth's realm. The Noldor attacked the dark fortifications of Angband with fervor, pushing against the ever-watchful eyes of Morgoth's minions. In these initial encounters, the Noldor displayed remarkable valor. They engaged in fierce battles against Morgoth's legions of orcs, balrogs, and other foul creatures that he had bred in the depths of his fortress. Each clash was brutal, echoing with the clang of steel and the cries of the fallen. The forces of Morgoth retaliated with unrelenting ferocity. Their assaults were marked by cunning strategies and overwhelming numbers, and they sought to wear down the Noldor through attrition. The orcs, driven by malice and fear of their master, launched night raids that struck terror into the hearts of the besieging forces. The Noldor, undeterred, held their ground, their spirits bolstered by the hope of victory. As the siege wore on, the reality of prolonged warfare began to take its toll. The relentless pressure of battle weighed heavily on the Noldor. Resources dwindled, and the emotional strain of continuous conflict frayed the edges of unity. Yet, amidst the suffering, a sense of purpose remained. Fingolfin's leadership shone brightly during this time, reminding his people of the stakes at hand. His resolve inspired many, urging them to remain steadfast in their purpose. The turning point came when the Noldor uncovered Morgoth's plans. Through stealth and cunning, a party of brave warriors infiltrated the fringes of Angband, gathering intelligence on the Dark Lord's forces. They learned that Morgoth was preparing a great offensive, planning to unleash his might upon the beleaguered Noldor. With this knowledge, the Noldor forged new strategies, fortifying their defenses and preparing for the coming storm. As the long shadows of night enveloped the land, the forces of Morgoth surged forth. The Dark Lord unleashed his armies, and the skies darkened with the flapping wings of dragons. The Noldor stood resolute, the determination to protect their kin and homeland surging within them. Fingolfin rallied his warriors, reminding them of their oath to reclaim the Silmarils and to vanquish Morgoth once and for all. The clash of the two armies echoed through the valleys as they met in a tumultuous battle. Morgoth's forces, fueled by malice and fear, clashed violently against the Noldor, whose valor and courage shone brightest in the face of overwhelming odds. The battle raged on, each side unwilling to yield. The air crackled with tension, and the very earth trembled under the weight of their fury. In the heart of the battle, Fingolfin faced a dire challenge. He led a contingent of warriors straight into the fray, his blade shining with a fierce light that momentarily dispelled the darkness around him. His courage inspired those around him, and for a time, it seemed that the tide of battle might turn in favor of the Noldor. They pressed forward, slashing through the ranks of Morgoth's minions, driving them back toward the gates of Angband. But Morgoth, sensing the peril of his position, unleashed his ultimate weapon, the Balrogs, monstrous beings of shadow and flame that served as his lieutenants. The Balrogs surged forth from the depths of Angband, their fiery whips lashing out and their dark wings spreading terror across the battlefield. Fingolfin, standing resolute at the forefront, faced a Balrog in single combat, its eyes glowing with malevolence. The clash of their weapons echoed through the chaos, a testament to the power of both light and darkness. Fingolfin fought valiantly, but even he could not withstand the might of the Balrog forever. In a fierce contest of wills, the flames of the Balrog engulfed Fingolfin, and he fell, a martyr in the name of his kin. His sacrifice ignited the hearts of the Noldor, driving them to fight with renewed vigor. They pressed forward, their grief transforming into rage as they fought back against Morgoth's forces with a ferocity that mirrored their fallen leader's spirit. The tide of battle shifted as the Noldor pushed deeper into Angband's defenses, their determination unwavering. They fought with the memories of their kin guiding them, and their ranks swelled with those who had lost loved ones to Morgoth's tyranny. The siege continued, and the walls of Angband trembled under the weight of their fury. In a final, desperate gambit, the Noldor orchestrated a massive assault on Angband's gates. All available warriors converged, united by the shared goal of ending Morgoth's reign. They wielded their weapons, blessed by the light of the Silmarils, which glimmered in the dark. With a thunderous crash, the gates of Angband were breached, and the Noldor poured into the heart of the fortress. Inside, the darkness was palpable, and the air was thick with malice. The Noldor pressed forward, confronting the very embodiment of evil, Morgoth himself. The Dark Lord, towering and terrible, awaited them with a grim smile. His power radiated like a palpable force, threatening to engulf all light. The final battle was a maelstrom of fury and despair. The Noldor fought with every ounce of strength, their spirits fueled by their fallen kin and the desire for revenge. Morgoth unleashed his full might upon them, summoning fire and shadow to snuff out their courage. The battlefield became a tapestry of carnage, with allies and foes alike falling beneath the weight of their fury. But despite the overwhelming darkness, the Noldor stood firm. With the Silmarils burning brightly in their hearts, they pressed forward, challenging Morgoth with every strike. It was a desperate struggle, and even as many fell, the hope of victory surged within them. In the chaos, a flicker of brilliance emerged. The might of the Silmarils shone through, illuminating the shadows. The combined strength of the Noldor and the light of the Silmarils threatened to overwhelm Morgoth. The Dark Lord, feeling the weight of his impending defeat, unleashed a final, desperate assault. In the end, the courage of the Noldor proved too great for Morgoth. The forces of light surged forward, breaking through the remnants of his defenses. They struck a decisive blow, and the Dark Lord, facing the consequences of his actions, fell back into the depths of Angband, consumed by darkness and despair. The siege of Angband marked not only a physical confrontation, but also a symbolic struggle between light and darkness, hope and despair. Though Morgoth had been pushed back, the scars of battle remained etched in the hearts of the Noldor. The victory was bittersweet, for many had fallen, and the cost of their triumph weighed heavily upon them. The legacy of their struggle would resonate through the ages, a testament to both the light that guided them and the darkness they fought against. As the echoes of battle faded into the distance, the Noldor stood amidst the ruins of Angband, a reminder of their courage and the sacrifices made in the name of freedom. They had faced the embodiment of evil and emerged victorious, yet they could not shake the feeling that the struggle against darkness was far from over. The fires of Morgoth may have been quelled, but the seeds of conflict had been sown, and the shadows of the past would linger long after the siege had ended.